today's job is to finish the wiring for these two sockets going in here and this double set going in down here, and we're going to tie that into sort of this socket here. So to do that, let's take up the floorboards and we'll go up to that one and take it through the line there and then run that up the wall over there. This one is a mini circular saw. So let's have a look at how we do that and make sure that we don't cut any utilities that are under the floorboards at the same time. So as we can see with this saw, this will go very deep into the floor and could potentially cut any of these sorts of utilities. Could be electrics, could be plumbing that are under the floor. And sometimes people channel a groove here just to rest the electric cable just slightly under the flooring. Sometimes people do it with pipes. This one's been put a bit further down because I did that. Yeah, sometimes people just chisel a bit out here and rest the pipe across the top. So obviously we want to make sure that this saw does not go that deep. So we just need to make sure that we set the depth gauge correctly. So the way that I do that is, what we do is we'll adjust that here. So if we pull that back, this enables the plate to go further down, so it's not allowing that much of the saw to go into the floorboards. So we need to make sure we get the depth right. So to do that, put the plate over the top, make sure we bring that back, make sure that's nice and flat, and then just make sure that plate is out of the way. And then we need to sort of lock that in place just there. Now what I tend to do is just make sure it's a couple of mil a bit higher up. So when I lock that in place, make sure that's nice and tight, and this is making sure that plate doesn't move. So that means the depth of that saw will only go that deep. So as I say, as long as we've made sure that it'll only go through the depth of the floorboard itself, and it won't even touch this piece of wood. And quite often I like to let it even bring it up even a couple of mil, so I have to snap the last bottom bit off. So you can see that over here where I've done the last one. See, it wasn't quite that deep. It's left a few bits on the bottom of the floorboard that I had to snap off. Obviously that's done on purpose to make sure that saw blade doesn't cut any deeper than this at all, and just leaves a little mil left that I have to snap off of the bottom of the floorboard. Much better to do that than it is to cut any utilities. We've done that. Where this plug socket is, obviously not best to use it when it's not connected, but I'm being very careful not to touch anything. It's the only power socket I can use. So I need to remove this floorboard to get to the electrics that are part of this. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to break all this off, and I'm going to run another electric cable down the back here into this cavity, which will be under the floorboard here. So I just need to make sure that I slice a line across here, making sure not to use the saw on any of the nails that are holding this down. So any screws or nails that are here don't want to be hitting with the saw blade, else you'll blunt that straight away. So either remove these first, which is probably what I'm going to do, just to make sure, and then we'll take that out across here. In fact, I think I'm just going to go to the side of these slightly on this side, because like I've had to pack this out so I can rest the floorboard on here because I can't reach this joist anymore, and do the same in here. I'll pack out that joist to give me a seating to put this back onto after I've cut this line through here. I can then remove this piece and get to the electrical bit under here. That will enable me to feed that cable then to the other side of the room, and we'll run that down and over to that point and to the other part as well. Okay, so as you can see, that's my line cut in the flooring. Just now got to prise that out. As I said, it will be a few mil short, so I'll need snapping off. There'll also be some sort of tongue and groove on either side holding this in although I can see a gap down here already, so this should lift up nice and easily on this side. So this is the pry bar that I'm going to use, and I should just be able to push that in here and then lift that up. Just needed to get to this bit where the electrics were, so we can see the joist here, but obviously not gone that deep. Did split the floorboard, but that won't make any difference when we put it back. Need to do the same with the floorboard for this. I'll do the same with that, and I'll take that out to the same level here. Don't need to take this one out, so I'll leave that as there for a bit of stability. You can see, left a little bit, didn't want to be cutting through anything. So now what I need to do is tidy up. Got to drill some holes through here. I might have to do that chiseling out because these are in the way. See if I might break this off and put the, so I can get the drill in basically to drill underneath. I might put a hole through here so I can get my electrical cable up over the side there. So a couple of ways of doing that. So easy way is just to run skill saw, zip, use a chisel and then take this line out just across here and do the same across all of those, and then make sure I put that back, making sure when you screw it back you're not getting anywhere near the cable you just put in there. Safest way is to actually drill a hole all the way through and then put the cable through that, so that if a nail does go through, hopefully the hole that you've made is a bit deeper down in the joist, so that when a nail goes in, it won't hit the electrical cable that you're putting through there. Just tidying this up here a bit. Get the cable down the back. So I'm going to put a piece of board across the front here anyway eventually, so I just need enough to get the cable down the side here. Here and then into here and it'll be under the floor. So in old houses they used to put their electrical cable inside piping, which technically a good idea. Would have stopped any idiot not setting the depth gauge correctly. If the circular saw hit this, it would have been very noticeable. Also, before you put the floorboards back, make sure you take all the wood shavings out, because if anybody drops a cigarette and a bit of ash, see we've got our hole out the other side now. So do the same for the other ones, and then we can run our cable, connect it to our socket, and then I'm going to put a junction box in the floor so I can run a line off that way and a line off to the other one. So as you can see, we now got a hole there as well, and one through there, ready to go up and join in to our cabling that we're putting in here that goes off to our next socket up here. So nice and easy. So now I just got to run those cables, put the junction box in. Let's have a look. Important to make sure that you leave it nice and tidy underneath the floorboards. You don't want to leave a fire risk. So what we will do, get the hoover. So now I'm just going to run the cable, pick it through my hole, pick it up on the other side, and poke it through this hole. And out through the last one. Poke it up into my socket. There we go. Just make sure that's a little bit tucked down in there. Just to give it a little bit away from the floorboards when it goes in. Okay, so I will be putting this metal conduit over the top of this cable when it's on the wall. Anything that's exposed above floorboard level should have a protective sleeving over it as well, so that nobody drills into it by mistake without noticing. You'll notice if you drill into this. With my cable, I'm just going to make sure I cut this off and I leave enough to mess around under here with the junction box. So I run the cable from here into my junction box to feed those plug sockets, and I'll split that off the other way as well. One of the next things I like to do, although sometimes you can just use the nails that are in the floorboards, is just to mark where the centre of it is. Sometimes the nails aren't on the centre. It just means that when we screw it back in, we know what we can screw into. So just mark that on all the joists. I've got my extra cable coming off, going under the floorboards through the joists, popping out of my joint. With the other one going under the floorboards, and just about see it in there. Comes up the back of the skirting, and then goes up where it will join into this set of sockets here. So that's 4 double sockets off of what looks like a single socket. However, this single socket is on a ring main, and you can tell that because it's got its live feed, the red one. It's got cable going in and a cable leaving, therefore that is actually on a circuit or a ring main, and that can easily handle the power for those 4 sockets. If that was just a single red line going into there, then this would be a spur, and therefore we would not want to run 4 double plug sockets off of that. Okay, always check with an electrician before you do anything like this. So that's today's job done. Floorboard back, nicely screwed, just a little slice line there. Screwed it back in here and here. Got a cable going up through the wall. We've got our cables coming out the bottom here, ready to join in with the junction box. That's all put back together over here. And then we've got another cable going up to the other one. So we've got 2 plug sockets there, 2 plug sockets over there.